The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. The COMELEC has recorded a 75% voter turnout for local absentee voting, while overseas voter turnout is at 27.8%. COMELEC Commissioner George Garcia says the poll body has received a total of 60,000 ballots out of over 84,000 registered local absentee voters. About a third of received ballots are from the Philippine Army, while the rest are divided among various government bodies and media personnel. Meanwhile, about 472,500 ballots were received from around 1.6 million registered overseas voters. The latest and last survey of Pulse Asia in April barely moved from the one in March. Presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos has maintained his lead over the others with over 50%. Vice President Leni Robredo is trailing far behind with 23%, dropping 1% from the previous poll. Senator Manny Pacquiao, on the other hand, has now overtaken Moreno with a 7% voter preference. Now, on the vice presidential race, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte has continued to dominate the survey with 55%. She's followed by Senate President Tito Soto with over 10%. Senator Kiko Pangilinan is coming in third at 16%. Meanwhile, broadcaster Raffy Tulfo still topped the senatorial race with 50%. Trailing him is former Senator Loren Legarda. Actor Robin Padilla, former Senators Alan Peter Cayetano and Chis Escudero also made it to the list, with re-electionist Sherwin Gatchalian and Juan Miguel Zubiri. Former Senator J.V. Ejercito, former Vice President Jejo Marbinay, former Senator Riza Ontiveros, and former Senator Jinggoy Estrada are also included. Presidential candidate Bongbong Marcos has also maintained his lead over the other bets in the latest survey of Octa Research. Maricel Halili has the report.
Out of the 2,400 respondents in Octa Research latest survey, 58% said they will choose Ferdinand Marcos Jr. if the elections were held from April 22 to 25. His numbers were up by 1 percentage point compared to the previous survey. While Vice President Leni Robredo's numbers went up by 3 percentage points to 25%, this is not enough to catch up to the presidential frontrunner. Mayor Isko Moreno, meanwhile, settled at third place with 8%, Senator Manny Pacquiao with 5%, Senator Ping Lacson with 2%, followed by Faisal Mangondato, Norberto Gonzales, and Leody de Guzman. Moreno was not surprised and even congratulated Marcos for remaining as the survey frontrunner.
Wala namang bago eh. Again, with all honesty, congratulations sa mga nanalo sa survey.
Calyodi says he doesn't even pay attention to these surveys.
Hindi ko siya pinapansin dahil hindi naman ako trapo eh. Hindi naman ako parang politiko na walang importante kundi ang eleksyon.
Octa reminds the public that their survey has a margin of error of 2%. They also said the survey results should not be a basis for the voting public come May 9 and must only be treated as academic information. In an interview with 1PH, Octa research professor Guido David said that 20% of survey respondents were soft voters.
Kumbaga, pili ko ito, pero baka nag-isipan ka pa, baka palitan ko pa yung...
David also stressed that survey results are not predicatory of election results, but rather a picture of the things to come. For News 5, Maricel Halili, We Are One News.
In light of these survey results, one political analyst says election surveys are not conclusive. Speaking to us here on One News, Professor Dindo Manhit said that surveys only show preferences and that it is up to the candidate how to turn this preference into votes on election day.
What we see in surveys is simply preferences. We need to turn those preferences into actual votes on May 9th.
Manhit also said that the fight for the highest position in the country right now has boiled down to the rivalry between frontrunner Bongbong Marcos and Vice President Leni Robredo. He added that so far Marcos has been able to tell his story better, but the energy in Robredo's campaign is the first of its kind that he has seen since the 90s.
it seems that Bongbong Marcos was able to tell a better story. And I would like to use that phrase, tell that story. Because at the end of the day, there are a lot of questions about that story. On the other hand, with VP Lenny, what you see is the energy of the campaign. We have not seen that in the history of Philippine campaigning.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Authorities report that some unidentified gunmen barged into a meeting of a town councilor and his supporters and indiscriminately fired their guns in Tabina Town, Zamboanga del Sur on Saturday. Police say Councilor Alex Aldi Humalon Amores and his supporters were having a meeting in their house at about 10 in the morning when 7 armed men in 2 pickup trucks arrived and barged into the house. The men proceeded to fire their guns in the air and robbed Amores of his cash amounting to 20,000 pesos, his bank book, and other personal belongings. The camp of Vice President Leni Robredo is feeling, quote, fairly confident for the May 9 polls. In an interview with us here on One News, OVP spokesperson Barry Gutierrez said that they have been able to pull off the campaign season because of the volunteers and the energy shown by supporters. Thus, the camp is optimistic for Election Day.
We're all feeling pretty confident. We're all very positive going into Monday. And we think we will be able to pull this off through the help and through the energy of the People's Campaign.
Gutierrez also assured everyone that they have more than enough of volunteer poll watchers and lawyers to ensure a fair election on May 9.
One of the advantages that we have and that we're very grateful for is really the army, a literal army of volunteers who have signed up to be poll watchers, as well as a massive cadre of lawyers. So we're fairly confident that we will be able to cover the polls everywhere in the Philippines.
Meanwhile, Bongbong Marcos' spokesperson Vic Rodriguez says the unit team is also confident but not complacent for the upcoming polls. Speaking to One News, Rodriguez said that they will be vigilant as they monitor the elections from their headquarters.
We are approaching the election day with confidence, but we are not complacent and we are always vigilant. We will just all be in our headquarters monitoring the goings-on election day, as well as attending to whatever problem that might arise.
Rodriguez also added that they still have no plans after May 9, saying they don't want to assume anything that will happen after the votes have been cast.
We do not look beyond May 9. We do not want to be presumptuous. We're not assuming anything. Right. And I would rather not respond to anything that is hypothetical.
And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later again at 10:15 in the morning as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.